I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better.
The Mike Star Show.
I am better.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mike Stark Show. I'm your host, Mike Starks. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the greatest ranch show in all of North America, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest ranch show in all of North America, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of stuff to rant about today. Full pack show. Plenty of stuff to rant about, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of things I want to get into before we begin the show, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, like, share, subscribe, comment. You can always reach me by email at doomstark7@gmail.com, ladies and gentlemen. Like, share, subscribe, comment, ladies and gentlemen.
Subscribe.
I'm on all the socials at Mike Stark Show. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, everyone's talking about the hantavirus. It's among us, and everything about it seems suspicious, ladies and gentlemen. There was this big cruise ship, a bunch of people with a whole lot of money was on this cruise ship. Out of nowhere, fucking hantavirus just came about, and a bunch of people who were supposed to be on this ship being quarantined just got the fuck off the ship and went back to their respective countries and cities and wherever they came from and continued traveling like nothing's going on. A video emerged of a man just basically sobbing and crying, saying he wants to go home, but basically he looks like he's reading something off a teleprompter.
You know he's reading something.
Everything about this whole thing is suspicious. I mean, the origin story of this whole thing sounds crazy too, because it's like, okay, it came from like rat droppings and, you know, rodent urine and everything else. Like, that doesn't make any sense either. And every time some sort of virus comes out or whatever else, like the origin story of it doesn't make any fucking sense. And I just want people to realize that, okay, at some point we have to realize this shit is like a bioweapon. Like, somebody's unleashing this shit. This is not people coming about this and being like, oh, this person got a virus because they were around, you know, rat and rodent urine and feces. These people got money. The people on this cruise ship who were on there who had this hantavirus and everything else got money. We're talking 10 G's to get on this big ass cruise ship. You know what I'm saying? They're on there for days and shit.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So these people, these are the type of people, they're not around rat infested anything at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate when they talk about like these types of people like regular people, like they're just somewhere around like pestilence and like all around some sort of bugs and rat infested. And they're not around any of that shit. So the whole origin story is crazy. If y'all were going to put this out in the media and say it was because of rat and rodent urine and all this sort of weird shit like that, like y'all could have put this anywhere else other than a cruise ship where people got to pay 10 G's to get on there and be on there for days. People who got money and shit. Because had this been actually real, like this is an actual real thing that's going down or whatever else, they would have never let them get off the fucking ship. They would have been quarantined. They would have took out the ship. Had this been a bunch of regular people. These people got money. So everything about this hantavirus thing or whatever else just seems crazy, especially with, they're on the news constantly talking about this has like a 40 to 50% mortality rate. Like this shit is super contagious and all this type of shit like that. If it was really like that, this would be taken a lot more seriously. Is this another thing that people are just putting out here like it's some sort of new wave of like the coronavirus and all that type of shit like that? There were like several strains of the coronavirus and people still didn't take that shit seriously. And people actually did die during the whole pandemic and shit or whatever else, but people did not take that shit seriously. Not gonna take this shit seriously either because something about it seems fishy. I'm already seeing people on social media, they're like, hey, buy my mask, you're gonna need the KN95, blah, blah, blah. All this type of shit. Other viruses came the fuck out of nowhere. Something about it seems fishy, doesn't make any sense, came out of nowhere, doesn't make any sense at all. And like I said, these people are not around rat, roach infested, any type of, bugs and pests or whatever else, like the origin story where this came from, doesn't make any fucking sense. Everybody there on these places, they got cell phones and ways of communicating and everything else. There'll be several videos. One guy making a video, nobody else is making a fucking video about any of this shit.
But everybody got cell phones, though.
They're not tracking any of this. They're not trying to find out all the 40, 30 fucking people who left and went back to their countries or whatever. They're not tracking these people. We're not hearing about who was the patient zero, who was the first guy or whatever. How did this get transmitted? None of this shit. Like the details, there never any real details about this type of shit. They're just in the news trying to scare tactic people and tell you, hey, it's a deadly virus with a 40 to 50% mortality rate out here and everything else. It's super contagious. It came from this and that. And then now it's spreading throughout the United States. It's just more bullshit. Next thing I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the show, they're overturning the Voting Rights Act and everything else, and this is going to disproportionately affect black people and everything else. And it's just crazy how here we are this far into this administration and also dealing with this man, period, and his administration. How y'all just let this president and this administration just undo decades of progress. Decades and decades of progress. Just decades and decades of progress. Like, it took so long and so many people to get the progress that we need voting rights. And next thing they go out for women's rights. And they're attacking LGBTQ rights and everybody's rights. And they want to take away this and change that. They're undoing in a short amount of time everybody's rights. Decades of progress. It took decades to get to the point that we were at before this man came in and decided, hey, I want to sign executive orders and I want to go to court and change all this stuff so that nobody has rights and nobody can do this. He's undoing DEI and all these different initiatives and shit like that. And I just don't understand why all of us are not just revolting and just burning the fucking White House to the ground. Like, y'all not going to impeach this motherfucker. Y'all not gonna square up and fight this motherfucker. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Y'all gonna sit here and let him just undo everything until there's nothing that helps anybody or does anything for anybody except white men? Because that's exactly what the fuck that Make America Great Again was about. Fucking up everything for everybody except white men. But that's what y'all gonna go ahead and do. Just let this man and his administration go ahead and just undo decades and decades and decades of fucking progress. Everything that all of our, forefathers and ancestors, everybody who fought for to make sure that we can have these rights. Men, women, all sorts of people, just undoing all of that shit. That's crazy. That is insane to me. How, saying we are not on the edge of like this whole country just shut the fuck down, stop everything. It's just crazy.
And you got 3 more years of this shit.
This man is going ahead and doing all this sort of stuff, bringing back segregation and segregated this and all this type of stuff. And it's just like, you're going to let him undo decades of
3 more years.
Everything we fought for?
Unless you,
insane. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about before I get into the show, ladies and gentlemen, the government is talking about unsealing all sort of alien files and everything else. The government, the Pentagon, was unsealing 162 files, releasing all this type of shit. And I don't know why they think people care about that shit. I've seen so many videos of people who are just saying the same thing that I have said in previous podcasts, that nobody gives a fuck about any of that shit. If aliens have been here this entire time or whatever else, fuck them. Man, fuck them. And if they haven't been here this entire time and suddenly now they're here and showing up and everything, still, fuck them. We got way too much shit going on right now in this country and this planet right now for us to be worried about some fucking aliens. They want to unseal the files and talk about all this type of shit. Meanwhile, the rest of us are dealing with the Trump administration and taxes and the Trump administration and rent and bills and the Trump administration and car insurance and the Trump administration, child care, gas, food, and the Trump administration. So unless aliens going to show up and fix any of this shit, if they're going to pay my rent, pay my bills, put money in my pocket, or go ahead and stop this administration or do anything that's going to bring back all of the stuff that they're destroying through this administration, or do anything to help our economy or anything, I don't give a fuck about what's going on with some damn aliens. Them motherfuckers can be walking around anywhere. They can be getting gas when I go get gas or whatever else. I do not give a fuck about aliens, and most people do not give a fuck about aliens. They're unsealing all these files, all that type of crazy ass shit. Government suddenly now wants to talk about all this to us. They want to talk about everything except them Epstein files. And it's crazy how fast we move on to this type of stuff. Like, we were just talking about this a couple of years ago, and then last year, and now this year again, once again, we're talking about unsealing more of these alien files, and they're trying to show, hey, we got all these like grainy videos of like aerial phenomena going on and everything else. Everything except the actual aliens walking the fuck around themselves. You have no video of an actual alien. You have all sorts of ships with, you know what I'm saying, aerial capabilities that you say that our government, our planes do not have these type of abilities. And as far as we know, no other country has planes that have this kind of capability, that where it's, you know what I'm saying, just coming to a dead standstill and then darting off at hundreds of thousand miles per hour and doing loop-de-loops in the sky and shit like that. Like, until y'all have definitive proof that these motherfuckers are actually here, we can actually all confront them and be like, okay, well then what are you going to do now that you're here?
Either show the aliens.
Bottom line is nobody gives a fuck about aliens. Y'all could be like, hey, we got an alien on the show with us today. We got an alien in the courtroom right now, talk about whatever. Nobody gives a fuck about that unless they're going to be doing something to fix any of this shit. Because at the end of the day, all of us still got to deal with taxes, rent, bills, car insurance, child care, gas, food, everything, and the Trump administration.
Exactly.
I just feel like they're bringing up all this shit, the hantavirus, they're bringing up everything that's going on with all of this shit, the voting rights, they're just talking about everything except getting the Epstein files out to find out what the fuck is going on with everything else.
And getting this nigga up out of
So yeah, bottom line, people do not give a fuck about what's going on with aliens. If aliens not going to do anything, if they're just walking around doing nothing, being nosy or just whatever, nobody gives a fuck. Are y'all going to pay these bills, pay these rents, fix the economy, stop the Trump administration, do any of that shit? If not, I don't give a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. At all. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's start the show.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I would like to talk a little bit about the people who are responding to this White House Correspondents' Dinner event by saying, hey, don't be a conspiracy theorist. Don't fall into their trap. Don't go down a rabbit hole. And some of those people are my friends, and they're people that I respect. But I just want to say personally, I am past that. To me, we have tried taking the high road. And to me, those days are over. The entire White House Correspondents' Dinner was weird, beginning to end. As someone smarter than me said, look, I'm no security expert, but even I know if there is a real attempt to kill the president, you take the vice president to a separate and secure location. That never happened. That is obvious. And it never happened. Even if you take these people at their word that this was a real threat, you still had Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Mike Johnson, Kash Patel, and almost every member of the cabinet in the same room at the same time during an active war, and someone was still able to get in the building with a gun? The Secret Service is either completely incompetent or totally complicit. Then they move from the hotel to the White House, and they put the entire line of succession in the same room again. And there they are, laughing, joking, smirking, having this press conference about their desperate need for a ballroom. So no, I'm over this. This was not a real assassination attempt. And I am also ready to say that it was not a real assassination attempt in Butler during the campaign.
That part.
Yeah, 2 real people died, but no one tried to kill Donald Trump. And we can confirm that because Trump literally never talks about it. This is a man who cannot let a single slight towards him go. He is currently using the Justice Department as his very own personal vendetta squad. This is a man who is still bitching about Rosie O'Donnell 30 years later, but he never mentions the time he almost had his head blown off. That is impossible. And saying that doesn't make me a conspiracy theorist. It makes me a logical person coming to conclusions based on evidence. As I said back during the campaign, there is just no way the Secret Service allowed a shooter to get on the roof with a perfect visual, clear line of sight to the stage. There is no way that all the police who were told, hey, there's a guy on that roof with a gun, just ignored it. There is no way security moved the photographers over for the perfect shot after the president went down, or that crane just happened to lower the flag at the perfect time for the most well-known coward of a man to get his entire upper body above the Secret Service for that perfect shot. Americans know from years of stories about how Secret Service agents behave during an assassination attempt. Donald Trump should have been covered, rushed to a car, his feet shouldn't even have touched the ground. And for the love of God, there is no way an almost 80-year-old ear was shot, and there is not a single scar today. There are those of us who got piercings 30 years ago, and it's still not healed. So I'm sorry, but I am not buying what you're selling. At the time, we all knew that situation was bullshit, but we didn't make a fuss because we didn't want to sound like tinfoil hat-wearing netters. We were trying to be responsible. We didn't want to undermine a real assassination attempt if it turned out to be legitimate, despite the fact that it all seemed so fake. But then there was no investigation. We never saw a single medical report. I bet you couldn't even tell me the name of the shooter. And ultimately, it accomplished exactly what it was meant to. It changed the course of the election. It made Trump a folk hero or someone chosen by God. And he had that fight, fight, fight march ready to go the next day. Then we have the 2024 election, which felt deeply off. And yeah, maybe if we had done a full investigation into all of those swing states or the polling places that were bombed, it would have come out that it was all fair, it was all fine, and then he won. But we didn't even look into it because we didn't want to look like Stop the Steelers. We didn't want to look like them. Then Elon does so much shady stuff around the election and then with Doge, and we don't challenge it because we don't act like crazy people. But to me, that's part of the plan. You make the people who question elections and assassination attempts look like crazy people, so people won't question it, even if it makes sense to question because they don't want you to think they're crazy. Well, I know I'm not crazy. A real event happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. A man ran through a checkpoint. What happened after that? I no idea. I mean, we've been given a manifesto, but it reads about as realistically as the Charlie Kirk shooter's letter to his roommate. Almost as if the same person wrote it. Disbelief around this event is not our fault. Crazy and illogical things keep happening, all centered around a man who has lied and conned people his entire life. So it's not our fault if we have questions. It is the fault of the perpetual lies that have been fed to our society. We're just not buying what you're selling anymore. We cannot keep giving these people the benefit of the doubt. Being the bigger person has left us near powerless and our country in shambles. And if you really need to explain to yourself why you're questioning it, look no further than the picture of Pete Hegseth right after the press conference. There was just a shooting. And this is what our Secretary of Defense looks like in the wings. So it's not a conspiracy theorist who thinks this behavior is suspect. It is a logical person who is now questioning the narrative we are being fed.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with some stupid nigga news. This week's stupid nigga is 31-year-old Cole Allen, who is the would-be shooter of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I personally don't think any of this shit was real. I think this was all completely staged, but either way, whether this is real or staged and everything else, the biggest loser of all of this is Cole Allen. Because they found some coon who, agreed to do this or whatever else, and even if this was real or whatever else, some stupid idiot decided to go run through there and everything with just like no real plan. I think this is all fake, honestly. A lot of people think this is all fake. This is all staged and everything else because none of this reacts as if this was an actual random person who decided to go ahead and take out the president and everything else. It doesn't seem right. And I know some people are trying to throw it out there to not be a conspiracy theorist and everything else. Personally, I am a conspiracy theorist. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think people who are called conspiracy theorists are just people who question things. As soon as something happens, people question things. That's what you should be doing anyways. When something happens, question things. Instead of accepting things on face value. You would want all the details. You would want all of the pieces of everything that's going on to make sense somehow. You don't want to be sitting there thinking, I guess that just makes sense. Like I previously brought up with the whole hantavirus and thing and everything else. Some people are just freaking the fuck out. Y'all not asking all the right questions, getting all the details. And all the details are not getting put out there. So you got 31-year-old Cole Allen, which is a black man. That's the first red flag right there that, okay, this man made an attempt on the president's life, and whether he was black or white or anybody, I'm surprised that this person was alive, let alone him being a black person. Black people have gotten shot for less. We have gotten shot at traffic stops. We have gotten shot for less. Let alone this man had a large, fully loaded semi-automatic weapon and then other weapons on his person and everything, ran through a checkpoint with the intent to go bust off at the president, vice president, or whoever else was inside that ballroom, and they let him live. None of that makes sense. And then we get to see the whole picture afterwards. So basically, stripped him naked and wrapped him in tinfoil for some dumbass reason. He was fully clothed with a bunch of weapons on him. They did not recover all the fucking weapons because that wasn't the thing they showed us. They did not show us the weapons he had on him. None of that. Not the rifle, not the handgun, none of the dagger, or whatever the fuck else he had on him and everything else. Because the story keeps changing. So that's the first thing. He's a black man. Let him live. Black people have gotten killed or less at traffic stops and other stupid ass incidents or whatever else with, you know what I'm saying, like the police and things like that. So for this to be an attempt on a president's life or the vice president's life or whatever the fuck he was planning on doing, running into that ballroom or whatever else, and then him running through and, you know what I'm saying, letting off a shot, which that was debatable too, because, you know, from all the video footage we've seen, he didn't actually let off a shot. It was actually one of the Secret Service people standing there and security personnel who let off 4 shots. That's crazy too. One of the things that is really wrong with this whole thing is that so many things that people have been talking about from all the information that was released to us. Number one, there was a manifesto, and I've said this in previous podcasts that I've done where I've talked about manifestos being released and everything else. Like, I don't believe that at all, because who the fuck is doing manifestos in this day and age? But this man, they had video of him talking before this whole incident or whatever else. He apparently invented some sort of emergency stop for wheelchairs or something like that. And the way he talks, he's very, you know, intelligent and articulate. Turns out his background is that he's like graduated, he's like top of his class, he's like an intelligent, intellectual person. So the manifesto they have reads below his educational level. That's the first thing. It doesn't even seem like something that he would have said. Now, we never heard this man talk or anything like that. We might have said, okay, but the fact that we know that, okay, we have video of this man talking about his invention for a wheelchair. Plus, we found out this man is not a dummy. He graduated with honors and everything else. He's fucking smart. The manifesto reads below his educational level. It doesn't read like how he would talk, because we've seen the video of him talking. That's the first thing. These manifestos don't even sound, they sound very chat GPT and everything else. They don't even sound like the actual person. Second thing is the overall incompetence of Secret Service and the security people. And this is like the 3rd attempt on the president's life, supposedly. And I have made 2 other podcasts. I did a podcast called Kayfabe. Go back and listen to that one. Another podcast where I did called Vantage Point, where I talked about the other 2 fake ass assassination attempts on the president. So go back and check out those podcasts. I went back and I did an episode on that. Go back and check out Kayfabe and Vantage Point. But as with the other 2 and everything else, there's total incompetence when it comes to the Secret Service. You know what I'm saying? Like the most famous one was when, like she mentioned in the clip that I just played, where basically Secret Service didn't know how to basically tackle him, ball him the fuck up, get him inside of a van and get him the fuck away from the scene. You don't know if there's multiple shooters or not. That part. You motherfuckers let him go ahead and take photo ops and everything else. All of that shit was fake. And he never talks about that. Which is another thing she mentioned too, that a lot of people mention in this clip and other videos that have been across social media and everything else. He just never talks about it. This is a man who can't stop talking about Obama. This is a man who can't stop talking about Biden. This is a man who takes jabs at Kamala Harris. Yes, this man would never stop talking about this. This was an actual, for real attempt on his life. If somebody actually made an attempt on his life, he almost died and everything else, he would never stop talking about it. If he actually had got his ear blown off, he'd never talk about it. But the fact that he avoids talking about that, like somebody who lies and deceives people and everything else, should be a dead indicator right there.
President Twitter finger.
Never talks about it. Just like we will move on from this incident, he will never talk about it. Your life was really in danger. Another thing is the actual video of it. The first video we got was actually low res and didn't look like the video that we got later on, which was like high definition, you know what I'm saying, much better video. But clearly till the second video was an AI video, because a lot of the elements of what was going on in the video have changed since the first video. The low res first video and everything else, you clearly couldn't see him carrying a weapon at all. He just ran through a checkpoint. Some of the people standing around were facing different directions, and one person was wearing a hat in the second video, but not in the first one.
Not paying attention.
And then you have security personnel who, when he ran through the checkpoint, fired off 4 shots. And one of the things I've been putting in the comment section of everybody who's made a video about this whole thing, and one of the things that I had put in the comment section of a lot of videos I've seen about this whole White House correspondence dinner incident and everything else is that, okay, if one of the security personnel from the video, we see in the video that Cole Allen runs through the checkpoint and lets off 4 shots trying to shoot at Cole Allen when they see him running through with a weapon.
Range.
You know what I'm saying? From the second video. Where did the bullets go? Where did the bullets go? Cole Allen ran past one of the security personnel, pulled out a gun because he was the only person who was paying attention to Cole Allen running past the checkpoint. He missed him at point blank range, fired 4 shots. And you can clearly see that as he's pointing the gun and missing Cole Allen, where did the bullets go? It didn't shoot the other officers in the background. There's no bullet holes in the wall. Where did the bullets go? They're just firing off empty rounds. That also should have been a dead indicator this whole thing was fake. Because if I'm in a group of people and somebody runs past me and I pull out my gun to go shoot them and I miss them 4 times, where did the bullets go? You're in an enclosed area. Like, it didn't shoot the other guards standing around. It didn't go ahead and miss them and shoot the wall behind them. Where are the bullets? Clearly, you had blanks. You were just meant to look like you were shooting at them or whatever else. We only have one video of one angle of that. You don't have any other video from in that hallway.
Where are the rest of the cameras?
There's a video where basically Cole Allen, minutes before he runs through the checkpoint and everything else, he walks past one of the security personnel with a canine, goes into a room. The guy with the dog goes into the room. The dog goes into the room. And he's standing there talking to the guy. The second that the security personnel walks away with the dog and everything, here he comes bursting out of the fucking room with a full semi-automatic weapon and decides to run past the security and everything else.
2 seconds later.
None of that makes sense either. Because he didn't have it on his person. He didn't have enough time to quickly assemble it. It had to have been sitting right there where you could just grab it and run out the fucking room. You're telling me that the security guy who was standing there with the canine and everything else, looking right at him, you can see the video, he's talking to Cole Allen and everything else, just was like, oh, I guess you just got a firearm right there. Because it was a split second. It was the second the dog and the security person that walked away that he just grabbed the firearm and just ran through security. Like, none of this makes any fucking sense at all. And then you get to the actual inside of the White House correspondence dinner. You have J.D. Vance, and this was so crazy that everybody was talking about this for a minute, though, that how when some of the Secret Service or personnel or whatever went to go grabbing some of the people, they went and grabbed J.D. Vance first. So they went to go grab him, let him know it's an incident going on. They grabbed somebody, whatever else. He looks dead at the camera and then decides, hey, I want to get up out of this chair and be led out of this place. Then they go over there and they go get y'all president Trump. They grab him, pull him out the chair. He trips, falls on the floor and everything else. None of this made any sense. None of this it didn't look like it was anything real at all. Afterwards, your president wants to start talking about a fucking ballroom. And we've already determined that the ballroom just means an underground bunker. This has nothing to do with y'all wanting a fucking ballroom. Y'all want to build an underground blast shelter and bunker and everything else. That's what y'all want to do. That this is all a setup for y'all to try to head and plead for y'all to go ahead and get this underground bunker being called a fucking ballroom. Y'all are not acting like this is an actual threat to security. The thing the president should have been talking about, and that this administration should have been talking about when the incident happened, if y'all wanted to make us believe this was a real incident, was talking about the incompetence of the security personnel. That part. Because had I been president and I'm at this White House correspondence dinner and everything else, and I find out that a dude just had a weapon, got into the facility with a weapon and ran past security, he almost got where I was at, and y'all finally got him, tackled him, got the weapons off him, and got him secured and everything else, all y'all would be fired.
Everybody in trouble.
That's the same thing I said about my other podcast when I did it, when I was talking about kayfabe and Vantage Point. When I did those 2 podcasts, I was talking about the previous one. The incompetence of the security personnel. It's like these are people who are just actors playing White House security personnel.
And that's what
these are people who are just playing the role of Secret Service personnel. Because it's just incompetence. Unless this was staged and y'all it was meant to go down like this. So no, I don't believe any of this is real. I believe that the biggest loser of this whole thing is Cole Allen, because his stupid ass was most likely a fucking coon who decided to go ahead and go through with this. I don't know if they had something over him and told him to do it, or he volunteered to do it, whatever the issue was. But the issue was that's a stupid nigga move to go and be a part of this whole stage event and everything else. They probably told him, hey, we're not going to shoot you. We'll make this incident disappear. We'll be on and talking about something else. Don't worry. But I personally don't believe any of that. I don't. I just really don't. And I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody being a conspiracy theorist, because all that means is that you question things. You don't take things on face value. You want to know, okay, can we get down to the actual facts of everything that's going on?
Right.
There's no wrong to question things when something comes out that doesn't make any sense. Because everything that happened with this. And here's the thing. If you're like me and you see something live and you're just like, okay, the White House correspondent, I seen the whole thing on TV live when the whole incident went down. It wasn't like I seen things afterwards and some people were already watching this. But seeing something live or whatever else, like, you know what I'm saying? It's a different perspective than seeing it after the fact. When you know somebody could have did something with the videos or doctored anything or whatever they did with that or whatever.
But shit live.
No, we all seen the situation go down live.
Like, everybody's seen this shit.
Former Chick Fil-a worker got busted for stealing more than 80 grand from the fast food chain, and he allegedly did it with a mac and cheese fraud scheme. According to police, Keyshawn Jones rang up some 800 orders, then he refunded them to his own credit cards. Jones was caught on surveillance camera trying to rake in the cheddar, but in the end, guess what? He got served up nothing but charges.
Ladies and gentlemen, more stupid nigga news. We got Keyshawn Jones ran a mac and cheese scam at a Chick Fil-a, ran up $80,000 with 800 orders, refunded to his own credit cards, as you just heard. My question whenever I hear about these scams, because I've done videos, I've done podcasts where I talk about people doing scams, everything, just like the Chase Bank money glitch and a bunch of other stuff. Why do people, when they do scams or whatever, y'all think y'all finna get rich? Y'all run a scam at the place you work at or anything like that, and it's just like, okay, you're gonna run up 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, you think you're just gonna get rich?
Dumbass shit.
You're a dumb nigga for doing that. Here's it if you wanted to do anything even borderline smart with this whole thing. If you figured out a scam or whatever else, you could have just got your rent paid for months or years. You could have scammed $1,500 off, whatever else. This way, if you ever got caught up or whatever else, you have a defense. You could just say, well, yeah, I did scam, I did something wrong, whatever else, but I was just doing it to pay my rent or whatever. I work at Chick Fil-a, I have all sorts of bills and responsibilities or whatever else, but you were just taking $1,500 or whatever else, and you were scamming it like that. But to scam 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, y'all be scamming big money like that, thinking you're going to get rich, like nobody's ever going to find out this money is gone and everything. That's stupid. And you get caught up on camera doing all this type of stuff to your credit cards and everything else. It's so stupid.
Dumbass shit, they watching you.
I did a podcast, I think it was called Glitch in the American Unit Matrix, where I talked about the glitch, the Chase Bank money glitch, whatever else. And that was so stupid how these people were going there and basically using their bank account or whatever else to scam money or whatever else. And I talked about in some other podcasts where I talk about people just running stupid scams or whatever else. And I'm just like, I don't understand how people don't understand how to quit. I think it's borderline like a gambling addiction where some people just don't understand. You got to just quit. You can't run up all that money or whatever else. I think that's fucking dumb. You work at Chick Fil-a. Those are your credit cards. You're on camera. I know you guys can't see the video, but the video, they're watching him on camera from multiple angles from right behind him at the cash register where he's doing it. So he's been doing it for quite a time to rack up $80,000. And you didn't think, okay, well, just not keep going to $80,000. Like, at a certain point, if you were going to do $80,000, you should have got to a certain point where you just like, I have to have an exit strategy. I'm going to get the fuck up out of here with this money. Where people are going to find you, not going to track you, you're going to get this money and get the fuck up out of here. But you're stupid. You're dumb. You just keep doing it till you got to 80,000. Like, nobody was going to find that shit out. How you facing felony charges? Nobody's ever going to see you again. That's dumb.
Like a stupid.
You figured out a scam to get some money, and instead of doing a couple thousand, you did 80,000. And who knows how much you would have made if you had not got caught right away. They let you rack up 90,000, 100,000, whatever it may be. I don't understand scams. I don't understand scams. Whenever there's scams going on, people just rack up money till they get to the hundreds of thousands and stuff like that. It's stupid. Y'all never think in the long run that, okay, if you just scam 1,000 here and there or whatever else, you know, at a certain point, you know what I'm saying, you incur a felony for the amount of money. Not just for the fact that you were stealing it, the amount of money too. And if you did 1,000 here and there and stuff like that or whatever else, like you have no defense when you rack up $90,000.
80,000?
You have no defense. It's nothing you can go in court to say. But they could look and say, okay, well, you were, you know what I'm saying?
Send that nigga to jail.
Basically just doing 800 orders and refunding the money to your own. 800 fucking
that
orders?
Nigga up.
You were refunding 800 fucking orders to your own credit cards at work on camera? Not 50, 800. Just more stupid nigga shit to, oh my God. Stupid.
A 32-year-old man appeared in court today facing manslaughter charges after a heated confrontation inside a crowded cafe turned fatal. The incident began when 33-year-old Jordan approached Marcus to complain about the noise he was making. Witnesses claim the tension reached a breaking point when Jordan reportedly placed his hands on Marcus's face. In a sudden burst of rage, Marcus delivered a devastating punch that sent Jordan crashing onto the hard floor, leaving him unconscious. Emergency medical teams rushed Jordan to the hospital, but he was tragically pronounced dead due to severe brain trauma. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was heavy as prosecutors played the surveillance footage, labeling Marcus's reaction as a disproportionate and lethal act of violence. Jordan's family sat in the gallery, overwhelmed with grief, as medical experts testified that the single blow caused a fatal skull fracture. While the defense argued that Marcus was provoked when the victim initiated physical contact, the judge remained focused on the deadly outcome of the strike. In a decisive ruling, the judge denied a low bail, citing the severity of the incident, and remanded Marcus back to custody as he awaits trial for involuntary manslaughter. Is a single punch a justifiable response to someone putting their hands on your face? Should Marcus be held fully responsible for the fatal outcome of a noise dispute? Share your verdict below.
That's retarded.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have more stupid nigga news. We have an incident between a 32-year-old black man who's facing manslaughter charges after he one-punched man a 33-year-old white man named Jordan. Jordan should have kept his hands to his motherfucking self and he'd still be alive right now. So, in this instance, the 33-year-old white man basically had a confrontation, okay? Wherever they were at, he went over to confront this 32-year-old black man about a noise complaint and everything else, and he got all in the guy's face, and then the 33-year-old white man put the whole palm of his face in this black man's face and pushed his face away, and the black man one-punched him, knocked him the fuck out. He smacked against the ground, caused a skull fracture and everything else. Now he's facing manslaughter charges. What people are not talking about is that this white man assaulted this black man. It was a whole compensation. I know y'all can't see the video, but in the video, basically, you got the black man and the white man standing talking to each other, whatever else. The black man is just staring at him as the white man is talking his shit or whatever else, and the white man decided to go ahead and put the whole palm of his hand in this man's face and push his face. Had you kept your hands to yourself, you'd still be alive.
That part.
So 33-year-old Jordan, you a stupid nigga for going ahead and doing that shit. You don't have hands. You can't take a punch. You go over to confront somebody. What did you think was going to happen?
Got your ass knocked the fuck out.
Some people, that if you get into it with them, you can talk all your shit. They don't care if you talk about their mama, their wife, their kids. They don't care what the fuck you say, but keep your hands to yourself. If you don't put your hands on them, you don't spit on them, you don't do any of that type of shit, you will go home to your family. They don't care what you say. Some people don't care what you say about their kids, their mama, whatever else. They don't care what you say about them. You can say whatever the fuck you want to say. They don't even care if you say your slurs, racial slurs, whatever. You can talk all your shit. Just keep your hands to yourself. And that's what the situation looked like.
Because if you touch me,
with this 32-year-old black man, this white man was in his face talking all this shit and everything else. But the second that this 33-year-old white man named Jordan decided to put his hands on this black man, he got knocked the fuck out. Now, did this black man know that knocking him out was going to cause him to hit the ground so hard he cracked the skull and everything? No. Did he think knocking this guy out was going to kill him with one punch? No. I don't think he should be brought up on charges. I think that's your own damn fault. I think that goes for anybody. You get into a confrontation with somebody, you might want to have some hands. You might want to have, you know what I'm saying, the ability to defend yourself. What did you think was going to happen? You really thought you was going to walk up and just put your hand in some black man's face and everything was going to be all right? And the craziest thing about this is had the situation been reversed. Had the black man been the aggressor, walked over to this white man, got all in his face and everything else, and decided that during the confrontation he wanted to take the palm of his hand and push this white man's face to the side and everything else, and this white man knocked him the fuck out, and it ended up hitting him so hard that he hit the ground or hit a table on the way down and cracked his skull and everything else. It'd be a totally different story.
Oh, it was an accident.
I want people to stop doing stupid shit. Stop doing stupid shit. I've seen so many videos where somebody's provoked somebody and got bust upside their fucking head. Knocked the fuck out.
That's what the fuck you
now,
get.
not dead like the guy in this clip right here, but there are people that got seriously hurt because they walk up, talk shit, cause incidents, cause problems and everything else. And then when they get seriously fucking hurt, if you don't have means to defend yourself, you ain't got them hands like that or whatever else, stop fucking with people.
Keep your hands to your motherfucking self.
Stop fucking with people. You was bold enough to get up and go and have a noise complaint to somebody else and get in their face and talk all this shit. And then when you thought, okay, well, I'm going to put my hand in this man's face and push him out the way or shut him up or whatever else, everything was cool till you put your hands on somebody. Everything was cool until you put your hands on somebody.
Got your shit rocked.
Now, we know there are people out there that if you talk shit, you get hit. But there are also some people out there, they don't care if you talk shit. They don't care what you say. They don't care who you talk about or whatever else. Don't put your hands on me. Put your hands on me, I'm gonna fuck you up. That's exactly what the fuck happened. This man did it with one punch, though. He didn't even beat this man's ass. He knocked him out.
A mother covered her son's entire body in latex paint to cosplay as Frieza. However, she was subsequently unable to wash the paint off and is now considering using the Dragon Balls to make a wish. The boy's school was holding a costume party, and he wanted to dress as his favorite Dragon Ball character, Frieza. He asked his mom to buy a cosplay outfit, but she felt it was too expensive. After looking at the character's design, she came up with what she thought was a cheaper solution. She decided to paint his body directly with house paint, assuming they could just wash it off after the event. But after the party, the situation went badly wrong. The latex paint dried and hardened on the boy's skin, and it would not come off with water at all. In the end, the mother and the boy's younger sister had to help peel the dried paint off bit by hand. Some joke that he may need to summon Shenron and make a wish just to fix it. Others were much more serious, saying a child's skin is too sensitive for chemical products like wall paint, and that this never should have happened in the first place. What started as an attempt to save money ended up becoming a painful and very questionable cosplay idea. What do you think?
That's retarded.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have even more stupid nigga news.
It just gets dumber and dumber.
Is this little boy's mama. This little boy's black ass mama decided she want to go ahead and instead of buying this boy a costume so he can go and be a part of this little costume thing or whatever else, decided they want to go ahead and be like, fuck that, let's be cheap and put house paint on the child. How stupid you got to be? She's too cheap to go buy this little child a cosplay costume.
So broke ass.
And you're too stupid not to put house paint on your child's skin.
So
Me personally, I think it's got to be some type of child abuse. I think that this right here, instead of them peeling the little bit of skin that's bonded, the paint that has bonded to this child's skin or whatever, this mother should be facing charges. That's child abuse. You put household paint on your child's skin so they could go to a cosplay costume party, whatever it was supposed to be, and instead of your ass spending some money to go get them a costume, you put household paint on your child. Your ass should be arrested.
Immediately.
Stupid ass people. It's dumbass people in this fucking world. All this little black boy wanted was a cosplay costume of his favorite Dragon Ball Z character. And your dumbass just couldn't do that. You're too cheap, too dumb to do that. When you thought, oh, instead of doing that, I'm just going to take some house paint and just paint my child.
That's retarded.
What the fuck did y'all think was going to happen? Just people's brains be disconnected, and I need y'all to do some time in jail for that shit. Get your shit right. Because I really feel like that's got to be some form of child abuse. Because what do you mean that this little boy has to spend forever trying to peel every little piece of house paint bonded to his skin and everything else? He's probably gonna be fucked up for the rest of his fucking life because you painted his entire fucking body with this shit to make him look like Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. That's a lot of white paint and some purple paint. You're gonna traumatize your child.
Take
You
them
got to go
kids
to a
away.
doctor and get chemicals and stuff to remove this from a child's skin. They're gonna be fucked up for the rest of their life. There has got to be some type of child abuse.
Put her stupid ass in the back of the jail.
People who do stupid shit in regards to their children need to be arrested for the stupid nigga shit that they do. Need to be arrested. That's completely uncalled for. That's fucking dumb. You could have just told your kid you can't go then. I can't afford a costume, you can't go.
Where is this kid's daddy?
I'm too lazy to make you a costume, you can't go. But this dumbass woman took time, and it took time for you to take household paint to paint your child. Stupid. What the fuck did you think was gonna happen when the shit dries and hardens? What do you think paint does to walls when you paint it? Do you think it's that easy to just come right off your fucking wall? Do you think that painting your wall, the paint just comes right the fuck off? Why would you think on skin, you paint walls and it stays on there? Why would you think skin, it would just peel the fuck right off? The dumbass mother of this little boy needs to be arrested. You need to take your dumb ass to jail.
25 years being stupid.
I feel sorry for this little boy because he has the world's dumbest mom ever. Your mama's dumb as hell. Just stupid.
Your mama's so stupid.
Somebody need to come take your kids.
She put paint on your skin.
Because that is abuse. That is fucked up. That child's gonna be traumatized for the rest of their fucking life because you decided to paint their skin because your dumb lazy ass just couldn't go ahead and buy them a fucking costume. Stupid ass.
You ain't got $20.
A woman threw hot coffee into a barista's eyes after he made the wrong drink, leaving him blind. She is now facing a $2 million lawsuit. 35-year-old Jessica accidentally ordered a hot Americano at a coffee shop. Barista Daniel politely explained that if she wanted a different drink, she would need to place a new order and pay again. Jessica instantly became furious and began yelling insults at Daniel. As Daniel turned around to get the manager, Jessica grabbed the cup of coffee, heated to nearly 190 degrees Fahrenheit, and threw it directly into his face. Daniel collapsed to the ground, covering his eyes with both hands as the scalding coffee instantly burned his corneas. Employees immediately called 911, and Daniel was rushed to the hospital. Doctors confirmed that his eyes suffered irreversible thermal damage. He would be permanently blind. Daniel's mother filed a lawsuit seeking full criminal accountability against Jessica and demanding $2 million in compensation for medical expenses and emotional distress. Jessica's lawyer claimed that she acted impulsively and only intended to throw the coffee onto Daniel's clothes to teach him a lesson, not to blind him. The defense also argued that if Daniel had simply remade the drink in the first place, none of this would have happened, calling the incident an accident. Do you think this was an accident or intentional assault? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have even more stupid nigga news. Again, this week's stupid nigga is a white woman named Karen. This woman, Jessica, who is a Karen, 35-year-old Jessica, is basically dealing with a $2 million lawsuit because she went to get the coffee from Daniel, barista, and she decided that because she was upset with her order, she wanted to go ahead and throw scalding hot coffee in the face of the barista because he didn't want to go remake her fucking coffee order. That's retarded. Now, I've seen so many fucking videos of Karens going ballistic and acting like a little fucking child, taking their food and throwing it everywhere and screaming and throwing little fucking tantrums because they don't get their fucking way.
And they should knock that bitch
There's no way I would work customer service, ever. There's just no fucking way. I wouldn't want to deal with nobody's attitude. Now, I've made a podcast in the past where I've talked about some of the worst jobs in the world that I would never fucking do, and that is customer service. There is no way I'm not remaking your sandwich, your coffee. You could have done
None of that shit.
Here's the thing. Before I go into my whole rant about that, yes, he could have just made her coffee over again. But dealing with these Karens or whatever else, nobody's ever happy with anything you fucking do anyways. He goes back there, remakes the coffee or whatever else, and she bitches about that. Throws a fucking fit, whatever else. I simply wouldn't deal with that shit.
And she would
I had been Daniel, I would have walked the fuck away from that shit. Went and got a manager. Or, I mean, if you wanted to just go remake the fucking coffee or whatever, I guess. I simply wouldn't work the job, period. But then again, this woman decided that she wants to throw her little panic and everything else and throw scalding hot coffee into the fucking face of the barista because he wouldn't remake her. Her coffee was that serious that she's facing assault charges, that she's dealing with a $2 million lawsuit. She blinded a man for the rest of his life over her coffee order. This is a psychotic woman who needs to be locked the fuck up. And this is such a childish thing for a white woman who is 35. This 35-year-old woman, Jessica, way too fucking grown for these little type of just stupid things that she's doing. That's just fucking dumb to be throwing a bitch fit about your fucking coffee. And if you're like me, you've had orders made wrong or something or whatever else, you just go in there and you talk to them and you get your order remade, or, you know, you talk to a manager or you get refunded or whatever it may be. You just never go there ever again. But knowing what coffee does to people, and you threw scalding hot coffee in a person's face. Now, I know y'all can't see the video, but in the video, she intentionally picked the coffee up and threw it in his face. It wasn't like she threw it at his shirt or threw it on his pants. She intentionally threw scalding hot coffee in his face. That should have been case closed. On video, threw it in his face, scalding hot coffee. I mean, even if he didn't go blind, I'm talking 3rd-degree burns from coffee. You can get 3rd-degree burns from coffee. There was a whole McDonald's lawsuit about that shit.
Looking like Freddy Krueger.
Should be brought up on charges. Assault charges. Woman should be in jail. That is psychotic behavior.
Put that bitch under the jail.
To just go ahead and be like, oh, I'm going to throw scalding hot coffee at somebody for not remaking my order. Customer service is crazy. I did podcasts where I talked about people who have gone to Qdoba and gone to a bunch of different places and gone behind the counter and decided they want to make their own food or steal food or whatever it may be, and have gotten in fights with the person doing it. It's never that serious.
Hell no.
If I worked in customer service, somebody wants to go behind the counter and make their own food or take whatever they're going to take, I no longer work there anymore. I'm not going to get in a fight with nobody. It's not my shit. But yeah, I do think that's insane. But in the video, what I've seen Daniel and Jessica, they're going back and forth about this coffee. I wouldn't go back and forth with nobody about it.
Man, I'm not finna go back
you
and
say
forth
was wrong
with
or whatever
nobody.
else. You got a couple of options. Either I'm going to make you more another coffee or whatever else, or I'm not going to make another coffee. I'm going to go walk behind the counter and go do whatever the fuck I was going to go do. Go get a manager, whatever the fuck it may be. It's not that serious to me. If that's serious to you, I would have took the coffee back from you. And I would think that your survival instincts, first of all, as a person who just made scalding hot coffee, is to pull the coffee back away from you. She obviously doesn't want the coffee, wants you to make more coffee, and we're all aware of Karens. I've seen videos of women who get their burgers made wrong, their burrito bowls made wrong, all sorts of shit. And what do? Smear it all over the counter, throw it at people, throw it on the floor, make a whole fucking mess and everything else. Somebody's got to clean that shit up. And here we are dealing with coffee.
Nah.
I would just assume that a Karen would do that. If you work somewhere and a Karen comes up there and starts throwing her little fit, I would have moved that coffee away from her so fucking fast.
Yep,
you don't want the coffee, it's not right, cool, I would have moved the coffee away from her immediately. If you're going to throw anything, you're going to throw anything that's not coffee at me. If we're at Dunkin' Donuts, anything, and I make you some coffee and you're bitching about your coffee, I'm going to take the coffee right the fuck back. You're not going to throw scalding hot coffee anywhere on me or anywhere at me.
Nope.
None of that. Let alone directly into this motherfucker's eyeballs.
Right.
It's just wild. It's just some jobs I would just simply wouldn't do because I'm not going to deal with any customer's badass behavior. I'm not going to deal with any of that. I'm not going to go back and forth with you about your meal or about your coffee or any of that shit. That scalding hot coffee to the face should have been for the manager. That guy, Daniel, should have went to the manager and been like, hey, he should have got another employee. He should have took that coffee back from her. He should have been like, fuck it. I'm not going to be doing this with customers going back and forth. I'm done. I took out the fucking apron and got the fuck up out of there. But Jessica, the stupid nigga that she is, she needs to be brought up on assault charges. Because there's proof on camera that she threw coffee with the intent to cause 3rd-degree burns, and this caused blindness and permanent disfigurement, everything else. She needs to be in jail. You need to keep crazy people like that off the streets. Put her ass in jail.
I just found out this girl going around telling people I'm autistic because she called me. It was like, hey, can I come over there after I leave the bar with my friends and like hang out? I was like, yeah. And she got here and the first thing I did was show her my rock collection and she fell asleep while I was showing her and I just let her sleep till the morning. And now she go around telling people I'm autistic. And her exact words was lame ass rock collection. And I just want to get on here and defend myself because she blocked me. First of all, bitch, you're a liar. I'm not autistic. Second of all, ho, this ain't no lame ass rock. If you was really paying attention, you would have known this dates back prehistoric times. Like I took this to like someone, a geologist, someone who studies geology and like the study of rocks and sediment and all that other good stuff. And this has smoky quartz, regular quartz, and amethyst on it. And it dates back prehistoric humans. Humans didn't even exist when this was made. And you just mad because I think my rock is cooler than your vagina.
That part.
Really, when it all boils down, I would rather show you my rock than whip my dick out and take you to Pound Town. And you really mad at that. And now you going around lying and telling people I have a mental, like, and I ain't saying there's something wrong with people with autism. I'm just saying I don't got it. And that's really lame as fuck of you to do. And I didn't know you were that lame. And I'm going around like being proud of the fact that I was a gentleman. And like, I thought I was being sweet. And like, I folded your clothes for you. And like sat him in the corner and made sure you had water and stuff. And I'm thinking I'm being sweet as shit the whole time. Like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you, man.
Man, fuck that bitch.
Man, fuck that
No, but for real,
bitch.
fuck that bitch. Okay, listen. Ain't nothing wrong with being autistic and liking fucking rocks and shit. Now, I know y'all can't see the video, but this man, he shows all the signs of a person being autistic and everything else. And for me and a lot of males in my family, wherever else, there is spectrum shit going on there and neurodivergence and all types of that shit going on with males in my family and shit like that. So I can see it from the video immediately. This man made a video where he didn't make any type of eye contact with the camera at all, and just the way he was moving and everything else around with the camera and the way he was doing the stuff with the rock and stuff. It's okay. Okay, it's nothing wrong with being neurodivergent, nothing wrong with being on the spectrum and everything else, but also at the same time, this man is interesting. He has an interest. He's into rocks. He knows his stuff about like rocks and shit like that. Like, these hoes don't care about none of that shit. This woman said she want to come from the bar, come over to his house, whatever, you know what type of shit she was on. He was like, nah, I'm not on none of that shit because you just came from the bar. I want to show you a rock collection. I want to talk to you. I want to make sure you all right and everything like that. And then these hoes want to talk about, oh, well, look, your lame ass rock collection and, you know what I'm saying, autistic ass nigga, as if that's some sort of slur or something bad or whatever else. The man was being a gentleman.
Hell yeah.
He said he was out here talking like he was being a gentleman. That's what he was doing. He said he folded your clothes, make sure you had some water, make sure you got some rest from coming back from the bar and everything. None of that shit's appreciated.
And the rocks are cool
Clearly, this
anyway.
man, you talking to the wrong type of women. Keep that shit away from your house, away from your whole atmosphere, because you deserve better than that shit. For real. Another woman would have appreciated that shit, but of course not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then her being upset because, like he said, his rocks are more interested in your lame ass vagina that you was gonna go ahead and just give up like that. That's crazy.
Man, fuck that
I actually want to add that to my stupid nigga category too, because the bitch who's walking around talking about he got a lame ass rock collection because you trying to get off and everything else, and he want to try to be a gentleman to you because you just came from the bar with your friends. You lame as fuck for that. This man did all the right things. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being autistic. Nothing wrong with being interested. And nothing wrong with being a fucking gentleman and making sure, okay, you can get some rest. Or, you know what I'm saying? Here's some water. I'll make sure you all right till in the morning. If she had really thought about that shit, you went to the right house. You went to the right house. You went to a gentleman's house. There's some niggas out there that ain't gentlemen. And so why is you upset that he didn't put down the rocks and go ahead and take you to Pound Town?
Right.
I swear this happens more often than you think it would when it comes to these videos and stuff. Like, there are videos on there of people being like, they've had whole weird ass misunderstandings with people because people be like, oh, you know what I'm saying, you lame because you have an interest or whatever else. There are plenty of people who like rocks or whatever it may be, and people think like you weird and all that type of stuff like that. No, nigga, you weird. And I haven't mentioned this before in previous podcasts or anything like that before, but I will say this. I think that people who are neurotypical are the weird people.
Y'all are the weird ones.
You know what I'm saying? Neurodivergent people are some of the most interesting people I've ever met. They are. And I'm not just talking about like, okay, they're clearly saying that they are on the spectrum, they're clearly saying they know for sure they're autistic, whatever else, but just neurodivergent people, period, are some of those interesting. It's the neurotypical people are the people who get on my fucking nerves.
Yeah, y'all the goofy.
I've done podcasts where I talked about, okay, well, neurodivergent people dealing with neurotypical people in the workplace and stuff like that is
especially in the workplace.
Because y'all are the weirdos. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are the fucking weirdos. It's not the people who are neurodivergent who want specifics about certain stuff or have a certain pattern or whatever it may be. It's you weirdos. So I don't think this man should feel like, oh, well, he wants to immediately say, oh, I'm not on the spectrum, I'm not autistic or whatever else, or he wants to feel like, oh, I just want to clear my name or whatever. You ain't got to do any of that. You did everything right.
Fuck that bitch.
It ain't on you. Fuck that bitch. Some woman out there, she'll appreciate that. She deserves that, not her. You did the right thing. Stupid bitch want to get mad and walk around talking about lame ass rock collection and I went to the house this autistic nigga and everything else. Fuck that bitch. Don't even think twice about that. You didn't even need to make that video, but you did. You didn't need to make that. You did the right thing. Being a gentleman, doing the right thing, and that'll never be the wrong thing.
The internet is losing its mind after this member of parliament in Canada said the new acronym for LGBTQ
deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIWG2SLGBTQIA+.
So the new acronym, I'm going to read this off my laptop because I don't want to get it wrong, is MMIWG2SLGBTQIA+, which stands for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, Questioning, Intersex, and Asexual, plus other people. I just think it's getting harder and harder to remember because the acronym is so long. Yeah, some people are saying Canada's cooked. Others are saying it's great. They're including so many minorities. What do you guys think? Let me know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the LGBTQ and all of its representatives are just stay doing stupid shit. So you got a member of Canadian Parliament just breaks out this whole brand new fucking acronym and everything else that just includes all these different minorities that have nothing really to do with each other and all that type of shit. And, you know, he spelled it out for you and everything else. I'm only going to say it once, but the MMIWG2SLGBTQQIA+. Do y'all, I mean,
fuck is all that shit?
It's stupid. It's just dumb. I'm old school. It's 4 fucking letters. And I've said that before in previous podcasts. It's 4 fucking letters. All the rest of the shit y'all add don't even go together. It's just motherfuckers' sexual identity, your sexual preference, and your gender identity. That's all it is. It's none of that other bullshit y'all add on to it. Like this, if you got all these people in the same room or whatever else, they would not get along. If you got the MMIW and the G's and the 2 SLs and all the QQIA plus all these people in the same fucking room, they would not get the fuck along because none of this shit go together. None of this shit go together. None of this shit make any fucking sense. Y'all just add more fucking acronyms. Nobody's gonna be saying that shit. I promise you. Stupid. Nobody normal is gonna be saying none of that shit. None of that dumbass shit. And I've seen videos where people are just like, well, at a certain point, the LGB just want to separate from everybody. Be like, I don't know what the fuck the rest of y'all are doing or whatever else, but it's never been all the rest of that shit.
And a cheat code.
And some of this shit has nothing to do with anything else, like missing and murdered indigenous women. What the fuck does it have to do with the LGBTQ? What the fuck does Two-Spirit have to do with QQIA+, intersex people? What the fuck are y'all even talking about? Like, y'all are so chronically unserious. Just chronically unserious. Y'all just keep coming up with more stupid ass shit. Y'all motherfuckers are just lesbians, gays, trans people. I don't know what the fuck all the rest of that shit y'all doing. Y'all keep trying to add some shit together. And of course, the commentator from this clip I just played said, "Oh, it's including all these different minorities and all that type of shit like that."
That have nothing
all this
to
inclusive
do with
shit is just gibberish. It's just nonsense. It's bullshit. It's dumb. It's fucking 20 fucking letters. It's fucking dumb. And I know that this member of parliament who got up there talking really thought she was saying something too. She really thought she was on to something. And what she got was about 20 million fucking videos of people talking about how dumb this shit is. Like, what did you think you were doing? You was gonna get up there and say 20 fucking letters and think we were all gonna like memorize that and start, that's the new acronym now? Nobody's saying any of that shit. Nobody even wants to say the current one right now with the LGBTQIA+. People don't even want to say that shit, let alone fucking 20 fucking letters.
Hell no.
You think anybody wants to go ahead and memorize MMI and 2SLG and all this other? Nobody wants to memorize any of that shit. Nobody cares about none of that shit. Just keep it real. I'm keeping it central with you on my show. They don't. Those are all their own little separate issues and groups and things that's going on. Nobody cares about that as a collective acronym. Nobody cares about that shit.
None of that shit.
If you want to talk about missing and murdered indigenous women or whatever else, that's its own separate thing. We can all talk about that and deal with that. That's its own thing. It has nothing to do with LGBTQ. If you want to talk about trans people, it has nothing to do with intersex people and Two-Spirit people, none of that type of shit. That's dumb. That's dumb. And it just seems like as older I get, and a lot of other people too, it just seems like identity politics is fucking dumb as fuck. People just walking around saying, I'm this, I'm that. And you so desperately want to get noticed and recognized for being like a part of some sort of organization, group, and this and that. And it's so stupid. It's dumb. You make this stuff your whole identity. And I think as a black person, we notice this with Christians first of all, because a lot of times in the black community or whatever else, a lot of us are Christians, and people go out of their way to play these identity politics of being I'm a Christian, and they have to show how Christian they are, wearing something with a cross on it and everything else. And then you got some black folks in the black community who are Muslim, Muslim, this and that. And then now you got people who are going they're the LGBTQ, they're the gay black people. They got to make sure that their identity is everything has to do with being trans or gay or whatever else. Like, nobody cares about none of that shit.
None of that shit.
Way too much shit going on in the real fucking world. You ought to be sitting around here making that your whole fucking identity. And it's getting to the point where a lot of people, whether you want to start calling people on the right or conservative or whatever else, bottom line, people just don't give a fuck. It's not that we're conservative or we're on the right or whatever else. We simply stop giving a fuck about this type of shit.
They don't care.
Y'all are weird as fuck.
It's stupid.
It's dumb. Somebody got to say it. I'll say it. It's dumb. Fucking dumb. How many more letters you're going to add to it that has nothing to do with everything else on there?
Just 3 more.
I'm dead ass.
WTF.
Like, how many more letters you're going to add on to that shit? It has nothing to do with each other.
Because what the fuck?
Because they threw a number in with this one. I thought this was some sort of code for a PlayStation game or something. Like, what is 2SL? 2 Spirit? Y'all threw that in there with murder and missing indigenous women? What?
That shit sound like a serial number.
Queer in questioning? What? Where? Queer in questioning. And then you put IA, intersex, and other people. Asexual and other people. Y'all just throwing a bunch of shit together. And then the woman in this clip has the audacity to say community after all of that. That's not a community. That's not a real thing. All together on the same shit. It's not the 20-letter community. It's not. Like, that's not how that shit works. There's a black community. There are Asian communities. There are communities, you know what I'm saying, people who are basically the same, but you can't take a bunch of different letters that represent a bunch of different things or whatever else and say this is a community. It's not all together. I promise you put all these people in the same room, they're going to be like, okay, our community, this letter has nothing to do with that letter. Why the fuck are we all here? Like, what does anything have to do with that?
Not a damn thing.
In the event of universal basic income, people would still work. I hate the argument that says if everybody was given what they needed to survive, that they would just sit on their ass all day and not work. No, bro, no. The only difference is people would actually choose things they like to do, regardless of money. I came across a post that literally said this. It said, if money didn't matter, what would you choose to do with your life? Here are some of the answers. I would walk around the neighborhood and fix everybody's cars because I love it. I would babysit everybody's kids. I would pump out loaves of bread and give them out for free. I would walk everybody's dogs. I would garden everybody's houses. I would clean everybody's houses. We already have instances of this. You know, the guy who mows people's lawns for free, he does it on a donation basis, like only finds yards that really need help. Imagine he had everything he needed to survive. He wouldn't have to accept donations. He would still mow lawns. Or the lady who cleans like hoarding house situations, again, completely for free on a donation basis. She would still be cleaning those houses. The current capitalistic system doesn't reward people who make a difference in society. It rewards people who take advantage of people in society. So imagine if that incentive was gone, right? You can't be taken advantage of. You can only do what you love. Then people would be motivated to find what they love. I guarantee you some guy would just fill all the potholes in America because that's their special interest. Like, don't y'all know some people who, would kill it in a certain career, but they didn't do that? Like Karens. Karens would make fantastic lawyers. Or punk band singers. Either or. So here's the thing. The person who can cure cancer is stuck at a drive-thru. The next innovator of society is just coming off her 3rd shift. People want to do good. Don't let these billionaire douchebags and all these capitalistic freaking bootlickers tell you that that's what humanity is. No, it's not. At the end of the day, people want to help people. And I fucking believe that. And I hope you do too. But unfortunately, the greedy sociopaths have taken control. And they don't want you to believe that.
That part.
Ladies and gentlemen, universal basic income. That's been going around the internet right now. Everybody's been talking about universal basic income. That's a possibility. We absolutely need that. If you haven't heard that before, it basically is just unconditional government checks, regardless of your income or whatever your position is. That would mean, for example, like the government would give everybody $2,000 checks a month. That would definitely help everybody. We don't have to worry about motherfuckers being fucking poor out here. We know the government is sending those $2,000 checks every month or whatever the amount may be.
They can do it.
That would help with people's bills and getting food and gas and all sorts of things. And people can afford to pay for gas to go to work, and people can afford childcare and all sorts of things. People get these unconditional, government checks regardless. And that is brilliant. That's what we need. People would still do work. People still go do whatever they're going to do. And I don't think that's the issue that people are worried about. They're like, oh, people just wouldn't go to work, or people wouldn't do this or do that or whatever. Yeah, people would go to work. But with this, I personally think that people would simply do work as something that actually go a fuck about.
Exactly.
Because as noted in this clip I just played and everything else, there are people who are just stuck at a job they don't give a fuck about because it's paying them. But if they were getting universal basic income and they know that those checks are going to come every single month regardless of whatever else, they could put money into doing whatever that exactly they wanted to actually give a fuck about. That part. People will be the best in the world at what they actually care about, what they're actually interested in. And I really think that, okay, if that were the case or whatever, we would move steadily towards a much more unified and utopian society.
And that's what we need.
Would go do the things they love to do because they don't have to worry about going to some soul-sucking, mind-numbing job they don't give a fuck about because it's paying them. It's not something that they give a fuck about at all. They don't care about that job. They wouldn't have to work all these long shifts or double shifts or whatever it may be if they were just getting universal basic income. They're getting checks coming in every single month. People would have to struggle. And then you would have people out here who would invest in doing something that they actually like to do. There's somebody out there they're really into woodworking and everything else. They do it as a hobby because their real job pays them the money that pays their bills or whatever else. But with universal basic income, they could just do that as a profession, and they could give those woodworking things away to people, or they could do jobs for other people. They would still work for people because now income is not an issue.
They would still work a job.
It's not like, oh, I don't have time for that or whatever else. Whatever you're into, you can make a living off of that because those unconditional checks are coming in. There's somebody in America right now that has a hobby or whatever else. They like gardening. They like growing shit in their backyard, flowers, fruits, vegetables, whatever it may be. And they would do that and feed the community if they had universal basic income because they have an actual job that they have to go be at. They don't fucking care about it, whatever else. And they want to get home and attend to their garden or whatever it may be. But that's the thing they actually care about is that garden, is the gardening and plants and things like that. Somebody likes sewing and knitting and things like that, and that's what they actually go fuck about, but that doesn't make them the kind of money to pay their fucking mortgage. But if they did have the kind of money from universal basic income, they could basically, make some of the best garments ever and things like that. Like some of the most innovative people, some of the people who would do some of the greatest things for society and give them to people, or, things like that, they're being suppressed. That part. You have some of the best art. You have some of the best woodworking art. You have basically anything people could possibly do if they'd be interested. You have a much more happy society of people doing the things they actually care about. I think one of the frustrating things is why people are so mentally unsettled in this country right now is because they go to jobs they don't fucking care about. People are out here accepting jobs, going and working hours on end is something they don't give a fuck about. Jobs don't do anything to try to make it seem like this is a comfortable place to work because you have to be there. I have literally in the past worked at jobs where people, they just look empty inside. There's nothing there. It's a shell of a person just working remotely at whatever the fuck they're doing. They don't seem like they're there because they hate that shit, but it pays the bills. Ladies and gentlemen, we could have already had universal basic income. We could have had universal health care. We could have had universal everything in this fucking country. We could have had free education. We could have all of this shit if it wasn't for racism. That's really what universal basic income is not being enacted. Because even if we didn't have this president in office right now, like before Trump and all this type of shit like that, we could have had universal basic income. But this country is fucking racist.
But racism.
God forbid Mexicans and blacks and Asian Americans and Arab Americans get universal, basic income, that we get checks, that we get universal health care, that we get, free education or whatever it may be. That's really the only thing that's stopping it. If none of us were here and this was just for white people or whatever else, oh yeah, y'all would have it. Or you wouldn't. You would just fight and kill each other. But I do think that is the main thing that's keeping a lot of things from happening is the fact that you just don't want black people to have it.
That's it.
That's really what it is. Because universal basic everything
You don't
is
want
a
us to
fucking
have it.
brilliant idea. And I don't want to hear about how we don't have the money or the time to do this. Yes, the fuck we do. We give money to other fucking countries in the billions. We waste money on our fucking military industrial complex in the billions. We're diverting money from shit that people actually need so you can go ahead and buy weapons and planes and bullshit. And then you have to get into conflicts with other countries to justify that, because it's just sitting around if you're not in a conflict with another country or some shit. Billions. It could actually be done.
Hell yeah, immediately.
Like I said, that's the only thing that's holding it up.
Start this
That's
week.
it. Is that you don't want black people and other people of color to have it.
Because I'm black?
It would absolutely make sense. And you don't want black people to have it because it's too close to reparations. For us getting $2,000, $3,000 unconditional from the government in perpetuity. It's too close to, you know what I'm saying, universal stimulus checks where other people of color would get $2,000, $3,000 a month or whatever else. You don't want them to have that. That's all this is.
Too much like a reparations check.
That's the whole holdup. Because when you start asking the questions of why isn't this enacted and we're looking at the money situation, it can be done. We're already wasting money on bullshit. We could be putting money into this and everything else, making sure everybody's getting a check every month. And that would like get rid of a lot of chunk of like homelessness, and that would help so many people. The only reason why we're not doing this is because of that.
Because of racism.
It's because of racism.
You don't want black people to have it.
Because I'm black.
Have you heard of the P-52s and the P-47s? Do you know what that is? They're us from the future. They're from here. They are you. They are me. They're from here, from the future. P-47 is present plus 47,000 years. P-52 is present plus 52,000 years. And basically there's a calamity, right? So there's like a apocalypse scenario in the near future. It wipes out most of like everything, man. And there's the ones that go underground and survive, right? And then there's the ones that somehow stay on the surface and miraculously don't die. My hands have been burned to hell and back as I've been typing. Because you can beam me through there and through there. And you can get a 3D image of what I'm typing. Because this computer doesn't have a Wi-Fi card. You can't hack it. But you can maybe get a 3D image of me typing. So like we just did...
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody's talking about the P-47s and the P-52s. This all came about because of Amy Eskridge, 34-year-old scientist and a co-founder of the Institute for Exotic Scientists out in Huntsville, Alabama, who was found dead from a alleged self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Right.
But yet there was no police report, no medical reports released, and basically that's because her and a bunch of other scientists in the last decade went missing and everything else, and supposedly they were working on a whole lot of stuff like researching anti-gravity, gravity technology, basically space travel, energy production, basically directed energy weapons, all sorts of like top secret shit or whatever else. And basically they just went missing or, wound up dead. And these people were basically, like Amy Eskridge or whatever else, saying that I did not do this to myself and everything else, kind of predicted her own death, that they were going to say it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound and everything else. But that's not what everybody was talking about, because she's working on this futuristic technology and everything else. People were talking about the part of where the P-47 and the P-52s are basically that time travel is fucking real, and that in the very near future, like next year, there's some sort of calamity that happens that forces people to go underground, and those people survive, and then there's a few people who stay on the surface and they somehow survive and everything else, and then fast forward 47,000 years, and then fast forward 52,000 years, these people are time travel back to our time period to somehow stop the event from happening in the first place. I have so many issues with this whole thing.
52,000 years?
First and foremost, I'm a sci-fi guy. I love sci-fi shit or whatever else. But my thing is time travel in itself. Time travel in movies is fucking great or whatever else. Travel to the future, travel to the past, all type of shit like that. In real life, if time travel was fucking real or whatever, it'd be a one-way street. You can't do all the shit people think you can do with time travel. You leave from point A, you travel back in time to point B or whatever else, and then that's it. You can't go back to point A. You go back, do whatever you're going to do, and you can't travel back to the future. It's done and over with. So if they traveled here to, you know what I'm saying, to help avoid the situation or whatever the fuck they're doing, the aliens that we're supposedly seeing, these tall, skinny, bulbous head, large eyes, weird looking aliens are somehow here from the future, whatever. They're stuck here. Because it's not the movies. If time travel existed for real, you can't go back to the future. You can't do any of that type of shit. You can't go and check and see if anything you're doing here in the past would change the future at all. It's a one-way street. You would go from point A in time back to point B, and then you're stuck there. That's it.
That's it.
So they're just here. And yet nobody has captured them and been like, hey, what's going the fuck on? What is going on? Nothing. That's the first thing. The whole time travel aspect of this whole thing. The other thing is the illustrations. Whatever these illustrations are that people have been posting up that Amy Estridge had or whatever. The other thing is the illustrations. Whatever these illustrations are that people have been posting up that Amy Estridge had or whatever else of what the P-47 and P-52s look like, these aliens resemble just mutated white folks. And I'm thinking, okay, when we talk about people going underground and somehow they survive and people on the surface surviving for thousands of years or whatever else, we have all types of diversity in this country and on this planet Earth. They gave us the image of basically these pale aliens with large dark blue eyes, and they have a small narrow nose and thin lips, with spindly bodies, and just basically that's what these things look like. And there's virtually no difference between the P-47 illustration and the P-52 illustration. They basically look the same. And they're saying from that image is where we're seeing in our movies about like these gray aliens with the large dark eyes and the big, bulbous heads and everything else, that's what they look like. And they're saying that somehow 47,000 years in the future, that's what humans look like. And that 52,000 years in the future, that's what humans look like. Which to me wouldn't make any sense. But all the diversity we have on our planet, why do these aliens look monoracial? This planet hasn't been monoracial for 15,000 years. Why the fuck would 47,000 years and 52,000 years in the future would, humanity be monoracial again? That we just look like one thing. We're all just bald-headed, pale aliens with large, dark blue eyes and no lips, basically a slit for a mouth, little small, narrow nose and spindly body. Why would we all look like that?
So white folks.
Now I'm thinking, she didn't specifically say it. People have not been able to specifically say from any of the other information that's come out about this whole thing, what is the calamity that happens next year or whatever else that's supposed to, threaten all of humanity or whatever else that drives some people underground and some people just were forced to stay on the surface but somehow survive. I mean, what drives them to be able to evolve to look like that? And I know some people are just basically speculating that, okay, living underground all that time or whatever else, that somehow your eyes are getting larger or whatever else because you're dealing with artificial light or whatever it may be. But that doesn't explain why our heads get big. Why the fuck did our bodies get all slim and spindly? Why the fuck will we look like that? Because, like I said, this planet hasn't been monoracial for 15,000 years. Black people who were here 15,000 years, we still look like the people from 15,000 years ago. We didn't evolve to look all weird and goofy and shit. No. Back when it was just black people on this fucking planet, we look just like we do look now. Our hands, fingers, eyes, none of that shit evolved to look weird and different. 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, we look exactly the same. We didn't change at all. So why the fuck with 47,000 years in the future, we somehow look like a fucking walking stick figure with a light bulb head? That's not being explained at all. Next thing is, I have questions about the whole thing. Are these just bunker babies? Because we know if a calamity happens or whatever else, there's only a few people who have access to underground bunkers. We know our government, we know that, it's rich people or whatever else who have access to underground bunkers. The vast majority of people, if some sort of nuclear calamity happens or, something came from outer space and struck the earth or whatever, there's only a few people who have access to underground bunkers or whatever else. So the people who have access to underground bunkers are most likely going to be some bunch of rich white people or whatever else. So those are the people who survived. Just a bunch of rich government officials and white people and everything else. Those are the ones who survived into the future. I'm just trying to figure it out. Because in the future, if you're saying that the P-52s and P-47s are the people, well, they're saying that the P-52s were the ones who evolved from the ones who went underground. So those are the bunker babies. Those are the ones who went underground and they survived off of living underground or whatever else. And I guess they developed time travel and went back in time. And they're saying that the P-47s are the ones who somehow, there was a few who survived on the surface or whatever else. Why wouldn't they look different though? They look exactly the fucking same. The illustrations of the P-47s and the P-52s look almost exactly the same. Why would humanity who evolved underground over thousands of years and humanity who evolved on the surface who survived over thousands of years look exactly the same? Because if it were possible to survive on the surface of whatever else, the vast majority of the people who don't have access to underground bunkers or anywhere to save ourselves from whatever may fucking happen, none of this shit makes sense. I'm not saying that it couldn't be. I want it to actually make some sort of sense. Like I said, I'm a sci-fi guy. I'm all into the idea of time travel and that these aliens are somehow just us from the future and all that type of shit. Cool. But it sounds like the only people who survived this calamity in the near future or whatever else is just a bunch of rich white people who went underground in their underground bunkers and they survived. Why they would come back to try to save all of us, I don't know. What the fuck happens? And if it were possible for the people on the surface to survive or whatever else, then how did they, time travel back to this time anyways? Like, I don't understand how that happened either. I have so many questions about that whole thing. I really hope that more information comes out about this or whatever else. But like I said, Amy Eskridge is a real person. Like I said, 34-year-old scientist. I heard a bunch of other scientists went missing because they were working on top secret shit. And, they were working on, and whoever has been working on like top secret shit, and I say top secret in the sense that these people were working on something and like government officials didn't want the shit to get out or whatever else, and they make these people disappear. Energy production because they don't want that out to the public, anti-gravity technology, space travel. You wouldn't want the populace to believe this shit is real at all. We see it in all our movies, and we all know the movies, and we all know the media is basically just part of the government. It's a branch of the government. It's just there to keep you distracted and keep you, believing that if you see anything that's real or whatever, you'll still just say, oh, you just watch too many movies or you just watch too many TV shows, whatever else. That's not real. Whole time, there is anti-gravity tech. There is, 0-point energy or whatever else. So I think people are getting nabbed up for that. But as far as the aspect of talking about the P-47 and the P-52, and this is the only reason why some of us even know who Amy Eskridge is, because all the information that's going around this whole P-47 and P-52 thing or whatever else got a lot of people wondering, okay, well, who exactly are they? Because it ain't the rest of us. It ain't us blacks and Asians and Mexicans or whatever else, because there's no diversity amongst these aliens. If you're saying that the bald-headed gray aliens with the big eyes or whatever else are supposed to represent us from the future, then where is the genetic diversity? You're telling me the only people who survived this calamity were a bunch of white people, and that's what they mutated or turned or evolved into? What about the rest of us? We don't see no motherfucking, aliens with afros, curly hair, no slanted eyes, none of that shit. We see these weird looking aliens with small noses and thin lips. I hope more comes out about this shit. I really do. But even then, if these aliens are come back and they're supposed to be avoiding some sort of calamity, catastrophe, or whatever else, or they've been time traveling back to this present day for whatever reason other than this or whatever else. Like I've said in the beginning when I was talking about aliens in the first place, I personally don't give a fuck about aliens. If you're coming back just to avoid some sort of catastrophe so that you don't have to live in whatever future you're living in or whatever, or you want to change whatever future happened that you're unsettled with or whatever else, it just seems like you're going to come back and try to save the bunker babies who went underground in the first place. You're not coming back here to save the rest of us. You're going to ensure that whoever went underground or whatever else, that they're protected. Very weird thing that everybody's talking about. I really hope more information comes out about that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been my show. I'm going to go back over a few things, ladies and gentlemen, because a few things need to be brought up again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a whole lot of stupid nigga news on this show right now. Basically, we talked about Cole Allen, who is the would-be shooter of the White House Correspondents' Dinner and everything else. I think that he's some sort of coon that they got to be on this fucking staged event that they were doing. I don't believe this was real at all, because everything about this seems weird as fuck. And with the AI video that came out, JD Vance looking directly into the camera and all that type of shit before being taken, the manifesto that was, you know, convenient and below the educational level of that supposed shooter and everything else. There's the inconsistency of the videos, the incompetence of the security at an event where the president and all of the cabinet members are at. None of this shit makes sense. And they're just going to gloss over and try to move past it and everything else. And all this was to justify getting a ballroom, which is basically just an underground bunker and everything else, because whatever catastrophe or whatever is going to happen in the near future, somehow this administration, these people know about this shit and they want to be able to get directly into that motherfucker when the shit go down. That's all it is. It ain't got shit to do with anything else. They're going to get that ballroom, which is basically just the underground bunker or whatever else, that facility up and going no matter what, because that's where they're going to go to. They're going to do some shit and then they're going to go underground. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, in stupid nigga news, you got Keyshawn Jones, who basically ran a mac and cheese scam. This man was at Chick Fil-a, basically ringing up 800 orders and refunding them to his own credit card. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up with with 80 grand that he was sending to his own self. Ben was arrested and everything else, but I think it's crazy. Like I said before, when people come up with scams and shit like that, why in the entire fuck do y'all be racking up 80,000, 90,000, 100,000? You motherfuckers could have just paid your rent every month and everything else if you're running this little scam. You're just still at the same places, racking up 80,000. Like, these companies not going to find out you're taking their money. Stupid. 800 fucking orders. Like, they're not going to be able to track 800 fucking orders at this place. You could have did a couple here and there, or you could have got 10 G's and quit your job and got the fuck up out of there. Some shit. 80,000? And I know y'all can't see the video, but the video for this, he looks so stupid. He just looks like in the photo they took him by the police and everything else, like he didn't know he was going to get caught. So stupid. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, more stupid nigga news. We have 32-year-old black man who's facing manslaughter charges because some stupid nigga by the name of Jordan. This white man got into a confrontation with this black man, decided to put his hands on this black man, got knocked the fuck out. He hit the ground so hard, he cracked the skull and he died. And now, you know what I'm saying, this black man is facing manslaughter charges because this white man got himself killed. Keep your hands to yourself. Some people don't care what you say to them. You can talk all the shit that you want to and everything else, but keep your hands to yourself. You put your hands on somebody, you don't know. They can kick the shit out of you, punch the shit out of you, choke the shit out of you. You don't know what the fuck they're going to do to you. Keep your hands to your fucking self. That's on you. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, in other stupid nigga news, there was a mother of a child who decided that she was just too cheap to buy a cosplay costume for her child and did something stupid by putting household paint on her child's skin. And like I said, I think this has got to be some form of child abuse, because this child is going to be fucked up for the rest of their life because she literally put household paint on it. And it's going to take forever to get that shit off of them. And they're still going to be scarred because they're going to have it medically removed and treatments and everything else. That child is fucked up. This stupid ass parent of this child needs to be fucking arrested, because that's some dumb ass shit. If you're too cheap to go buy your child a cosplay costume so they can go play with Frieza as some sort of cosplay thing that this kid wanted to do or whatever else, then just tell them they can't go. Tell your child they can't go. You're too broke and stupid to go ahead and do that, but you decided you want to go ahead and put household paint on a child's skin. Nope. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, and other stupid nigga news, there is a woman who's named Jessica, a 35-year-old woman, who's basically a Karen who fuck around and found out. She got into an argument with a barista over her coffee, decided she wanted to throw scalding hot coffee into the face of this barista. Daniel ended up blinded because the scalding hot coffee burned his cornea and everything else, and now she's dealing with a $2 million lawsuit. You fuck around, you found out. Now, as what I said as far as Daniel and everything else, I think it's stupid that people work in customer service and you know that Karens exist. They will come up there fucking with you, yelling about their order, their burrito bowl, their fucking burgers, their coffee, whatever it may be. I'm not finna go back and forth with a Karen, none of that shit. You know they throw shit, you know they throw tantrums and shit. I would have grabbed that coffee and moved it away from her immediately. As soon as she starts bitching about her fucking coffee, I would take the coffee from her immediately. Same thing with your burger, your burrito bowl, wherever the fuck it is you're bitching about, I would take that shit away. But you're not gonna throw it at me. You know what I'm saying? He's going back and forth with her instead of getting the manager, instead of just remaking the coffee, instead of just walking the fuck away from her. She threw some hot ass coffee directly into his eyes. This woman should be arrested and brought up on every fucking charge. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, young black man says that he is not autistic. He just like rocks and everything else. It's evidence from the video that this man is on the spectrum and everything else. There's nothing wrong with that. This man got a call from a woman who said, hey, when I'm done hanging out with my girls at the bar, can I come over to your house? He wanted to show her his rock collection. He wanted to be a gentleman. He wanted to make sure she had water and she was relaxing and everything else. And she got some rest and everything after being at the bar. She decided to go out there and publicly start talking about, this man's a lame ass because he's into rocks and all this type of shit like that. And so he had to get on there and clear his name and everything. You don't need to clear your name. Fuck her. Fuck her and 10 people who look like her. You don't have to deal with any of that type of shit. You did the right thing. You did the right thing. You have an interest. You're into rocks or whatever the fuck you're into. You're into that type of shit. This woman clearly thought you was just going to take advantage of her and everything else. You did the right thing. You smart. You know what I'm saying? If she can't appreciate a smart autistic man, fuck her. For real. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, the LGBTQ stay doing something stupid. There's a parliament member in Canada who decided to unwrap a brand new acronym. She started to call it the MMIWG2SLGBTQQIA. Do you know what that means? No, you don't, because that's a bunch of fucking gibberish. That's some bullshit right there. That's what the fuck that is. It's nonsense. Motherfuckers do not want to say the original one. They don't want to say all that shit either. Nobody's saying all that shit. And like I said before, all this stuff that they're adding on to the LGBTQ, you know what I'm saying? All the extra shit. I'm old school. It's just 4 letters, LGBT. All this other shit they're adding on to it or whatever else, it's dumb as fuck. If you put all these people in the same room or whatever, they're not going to get along at all, because what that letter stands for is some different shit than what the next person is going through and what they're doing. A lot of this stuff has nothing to do with any of each other. It's just some dumb shit y'all all putting together and calling it a community. It's not a community. These people have nothing to do with each other. They have nothing to do with each other. Y'all stay doing stupid shit. And there are so many talks on social media of just like the LGB and like the LGBT, and they don't want nothing to do with the rest of them letters and all the other shit people are doing. Motherfuckers are breaking up the band. They're doing their own solo projects. They're just not, or we're not a part of none of that shit. It's not a community no more. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about universal basic income, which is basically unconditional government checks regardless of your income and everything else. I think it would work. I think people would still go to work. I think some people, you know what I'm saying, that would definitely help with homelessness and everything else, with bills and everything else. And I think that's fantastic. I think people would still go and do things that they're passionate about, things that they're interested in, things they're skilled about. That's exactly what people would do. And I think the only reason why we don't have universal anything is basically because of racism and bigotry. That's all it is. We could have had universal basic income. We could have had universal health care. We could have had educational, systems that are free and things like that. We could have had all sorts of shit, but we're never going to have it because we won't get rid of all the fucking racists and the biggest ass people in this country. Get rid of the bigots. Get rid of the fucking racist people. Get rid of all that shit. The rest of us, we could be living in a damn near utopia. We could be living in a much more together society if we just did that. If we didn't waste money on bullshit. If we didn't try to divide and separate people over dumb shit. If we didn't try to say, okay, well, this group can have these benefits and the rest of y'all can't. That's fucking dumb. We're a whole fucking country. And it's the reason why other countries are surpassing us to this day, because other countries have decided, okay, well, whatever we decide to do, it's for the whole fucking country. This country is not acting like it's a whole fucking country at all. We pretend we're the greatest country in the world, the land of the free, all this type of shit like that. But it's just like, we're not including everybody who's fucking here. Not the blacks, not the Mexicans, not the Asian Americans, not anybody else. You're not including everybody else here. Because if you really wanted this country to be fucking great, these are the things that you would do. You would come up with universal health care. You would come up with universal basic income. You would make education free. You would do a whole bunch of things that is affordable, things you can do in order to make this a better country and a better country than other countries. But you ain't gonna do it though. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about Amy Esker, 34-year-old scientist who basically was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound and everything else because she was working on all sorts of high-tech shit and everything else. And basically she was researching anti-grav tech and a bunch of space travel and energy production type of shit. And basically that's when we started talking about the P-47 and the P-52s. I had questions about that. Basically, why do these aliens look monoracial? Basically, are they the product of bunker babies? People who went to underground bunkers and all underground facilities and shit like that, who survived it or whatever else, which means if that's the case or whatever else, then basically that doesn't include the vast majority of us, because a lot of us do not have access to any type of underground facility or underground bunker or whatever else. So whoever is surviving this, near future catastrophe that's going to happen or whatever else, it ain't going to be the rest of us. It's going to be a select few of people. And if that's the case or whatever else, the P-52s are just basically the elites that went underground. And do we want the descendants of those people coming back here talking about, we want to make sure the event doesn't happen or whatever the fuck their incident is supposed to be? Do you really think they would want the incident to not happen? If it means that they were the only person who can survive? I have so many questions about that shit. I'm going to make another podcast where I talk more about basically all the theoretical stuff that's going on with the P-47 and the P-52s and just time travel and aliens altogether. I'm going to make a podcast about that too. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been my show, ladies and gentlemen. As always, you can contact me at doonstar7@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and comment about this video. Let me know what you like, didn't like, whatever you were into, or what I should add to the next podcast and everything else, ladies and gentlemen. I have a lot more to rant about, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
Affordable Care Act.
And why is that?
Well, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Obama, so I don't support him in the Obama things that he's got going on. I'm actually really excited for President-elect Donald Trump, so.
Right. So you don't like anything Obama does, and you prefer the Affordable Care Act?
Absolutely.
Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I support Obamacare.
So if you were a senator and you could vote today, you would vote to keep Obamacare instead of the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I guess the Affordable Care Act?
Stupid. Why do you prefer the Affordable Care Act over Obamacare?
I'm not really sure. My girlfriend supports Trump, so I go with whatever she goes.
That's retarded.
She says.
What is the main difference between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act?
One is you pay, and then the other one is Obama pays for you.
Stupid. Hey, it's a pretty big difference.
Pretty big difference.
I believe that Obamacare, the premiums are too high, so people end up paying more.
Right.
So I believe in the Affordable Care Act.
And so the Affordable Care Act is more affordable than Obamacare.
Right, correct.
Right.
Which is obvious based on the name.
It's in the name, right.
Right.
Why do you like the Affordable Care Act more than Obamacare?
Because I don't like Obama.
But you like the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah.
What if I told you Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing?
Stupid.